AITA for refusing to buy my girlfriend her ticket to our senior prom? Earlier today, my girlfriend and I, both 18 years old, got into a fight about senior prom tickets. We have been together for a while now and we decided to go to prom together. Tickets are being sold this week for $25 a person. I mentioned that I was only planning on paying for my ticket, not hers. This surprised her, because she just assumed that I would pay for them. She seemed sort of shocked and got weirdly sad. I felt like it was really rude of her to assume that I was going to pay for them just because I'm the guy. I asked her why it had to be my responsibility since we both wanted to go. I told her that I thought she was being sort of unreasonable and outdated. I also reminded her that I paid for her prom flowers. Well, that really pissed her off. She told me that we spent the same amount of money on each other's respective flowers. Then she reminded me that her dress was $750, not including all of her extra stuff, and that I didn't have to buy anything new for prom. She also pointed out that her parents were paying for dinner, so she didn't understand why I was being so cheap when she's already made this as affordable as possible. I already spent like $25 on her prom proposal sign. I don't want to spend extra money on prom. I don't even want to go that bad. I'm only going because I want to be with her. Plus, I always pay for our dates and drive us, that she never compensates me for. She's very mad at me and telling me that I'm not acting like myself. She's from a very rich family, and I feel like she's acting entitled and spoiled. Am I a cheap asshole? Or is she being a bratty bitch? Edit. Since I'm being attacked, I do love my girlfriend. I'm just frustrated at her entitlement. Calling her a bitch was wrong. My girlfriend is very beautiful. Many people have told me she's out of my league. She's aware of these comments and still chose to insult me on the phone. Her insults were very creative and long, but the gist was that she prays I don't age like my dad. My hairline is receding, and that I need to learn to control my temper. We both love each other, we are just upset and have conflicting opinions. Also, tickets would be $50 total. Plus, I have to drive her to and from prom dinner. We are taking her car BC, she drives a nicer car, but still feel like it's worth mentioning. Final edit. This post was not meant to turn into a debate about patriarchy and gender roles. I was raised with traditional values and normally pride myself for the way I treat her. I do not mind paying for our dates. I mentioned it as context. I always walk her to and from the car. I hold doors. I carry her stuff. I try to be a gentleman whenever possible. Clearly, I fucked up. She is so kind and beautiful. I have no intention of breaking up with her, and I hope she's on the same page. She is my first ever girlfriend, and I'm like her seventh bev. I get overwhelmed and confused with all of the things I'm supposed to do. I will buy her ticket. I have texted her multiple apologies and will apologize again tomorrow. I have flowers to her house to show good faith. After reading the comments, I realized that I fucked up. I don't want to lose her over $25. You're all right. That is a dumb hill to die on. I don't know why I got so upset about this. Thank you all for your advice and honesty. The brutality was clearly needed.
Okay, so he isn't the asshole for questioning expectations, but he is for turning it into a battle of pride instead of a conversation. Yes, assuming he'd pay just because he's the guy is outdated. But come on. It's $25 for a once-in-a-lifetime night, with a girl he admits is out of his league. He could have just said, "Hey, I'm tight on cash right now. Can we split it?" Instead of framing it like a gender war. Also, calling her a bratty bitch while admitting she's his first girlfriend and way out of his league? That's insecurity talking, not reason. And for someone who didn't even want to go, he sure turned this into a massive drama. At the end of the day, nobody wins when relationships become a scoreboard of who paid for what. Sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the gesture. So, what do you guys think? Also, would you break up with someone over this kind of argument? Drop this emoji if you've ever argued over something small that blew up, and hit like if you think prom is overpriced anyway.
Fiance and mother-in-law want me to pay for baby groceries, and I said no. So backstory before I get into it, I, 23 female, gave birth to my son last summer. My mother in law was very involved in my pregnancy, which I was very thankful for. When I gave birth, that support turned into possessive behavior. I could list off scenarios, but this post would be a book. I have addressed this several times with my fiance, 24 male. He would tell me he will talk with his mom, but nothing seems to change. My relationship was great with my mother in law up until she kinda started to play mommy with my son. I've set boundaries, and somehow they apply to everyone but her. Again, it's an ongoing battle, and my fiance isn't supportive or just brushed it off. So currently, my baby is starting solids now, and I will prep food and buy snacks that I know he likes, but my mother in law will buy whatever snacks she has, and we'll feed him that. My mother in law is not my babysitter. We have a family member watching him at my mother in law's house. She will buy groceries for my son and has introduced foods, etc. I am at a point where I don't want to buy him groceries, as the food I pack is just left untouched, or it starts to go bad in my fridge. I do have farm animals that eat said food. I have told my babysitter to feed what I pack, but then she told me she was told there was food for him that my mother-in-law bought. I also want to start taking my son to my mom's, as I know that my mother-in-law won't have any control over him. But the commute is 30 minutes one way, and I would have to wake him up at 5 a.m. I'm not sure what to do. Edit. I may have not specified this, but I still buy my son his groceries for our home. I would have my mother-in-law buy food instead of me packing his meals. She works, but she is a manager, so she leaves when she pleases. She sees my baby every day. When she doesn't, she will call and text my fiancé that she needs to see him. Regarding the cost, we split the cost, as I pay her for babysitting and my mother-in-law pays her for the other chores. Like I mentioned previously, there are a lot of more reasons why I feel the way I do. To list a few, she fed into my postpartum depression as she took charge when my son was a newborn. I didn't have a backbone then because I was going through a lot. She wants my son to call her mama. She also has claimed that my son is a way for her to have a second chance. Update. I spoke with my fiancé about it and he understood where I was coming from. I offered to just drop off the groceries at my mother-in-law's. That didn't change anything. So I am now taking my son to my mom, which caused some talk about how it's so much harder for him, my son, to adjust. By the way, he's fine and thriving. We can all guess who that came from. She has offered to pick him up so we don't make a commute into town. I've declined. However, she has now only asked my fiancé, to which he would agree to, thinking I was aware. My mom is aware of everything and will only release him to me or my fiancé unless she is told otherwise. I am very disappointed and feel like I am going into extremes, but I'm just so tired of literally fighting to be the mother to my son. I am now looking to move out of the compound and live far to create distance. I'm pretty sure she'll find a way to manipulate my fiancé into feeling bad.
This story is wild. And honestly, it's not even about groceries anymore. The real issue here is that this mom is being systematically erased by her own fiancé and Mill. She's not asking for anything crazy. She just wants to be the one making the decisions for her child. That's not controlling. That's being a mom. Let's be real. The Emil is playing mommy because she never respected boundaries to begin with. And the fiancé? He's either spineless or in denial. At some point, talking to his mom isn't enough. He needs to stand with the mother of his child, not the one trying to take her place. And her offering to stop sending food isn't petty. It's a reaction to being ignored and overruled repeatedly. If your food's going to be tossed or replaced, why keep wasting money? This is a power struggle disguised as childcare. Also, that whole, he's having a harder time adjusting line? That's manipulation 101. MIL is mad she lost control. Who's more out of line, the MIL or the fiancé? What would you do in her shoes? Smash that like button if you've ever had to deal with a toxic in-law, and hit subscribe for more wild Reddit stories that make your blood boil. I took my roommate's side over my girlfriend's. Now she's ignoring me. My roommate, 21 male, and I have been living together for about 7 months. We aren't super close, but he's chill, and I'd say we're decent friends. When we first moved in, he mentioned that he gets uncomfortable being alone with women he doesn't know well, or who aren't a part of his family. He didn't go into much detail, just said that When he was around 8 to 12 years old, his stepmom did things to him that made him uncomfortable. And he's also had a situation where a former friend falsely accused him of making sexual advances when they stayed together. He never elaborated more, and when I asked about it, he didn't really want to, so I've been respecting that. I don't know all the details, so I can only assume based on what he's hinted at. I've been dating my girlfriend, 21 female, for about 4 months. I explained the situation to her early on and asked her to please not come over to my apartment unless I'm home. I told her it was to respect my roommate's boundaries and make sure he feels comfortable in his own home. She's been respectful about it, meaning she usually comes over when I'm there, and my roommate and her has always been polite and nice to each other. However, recently I went to visit my brother in the hospital. My girlfriend called me while I was there, asking where I was. I told her I was with my brother and my parents. When I told her I would be leaving soon, she said she was going to wait for me at my apartment because her parents were aggravating her. I told her I didn't want her going over when I wasn't there, but she ignored me and went anyway. When she got to the apartment, my roommate didn't let her in. He told her he was uncomfortable letting her in while I wasn't there. She called me, pissed off, saying he wouldn't let her in. I told her I was on my way back. By the time I got there, he opened the door when he knew I was home. When we walked inside, my girlfriend was highly pissed and started cussing him out and yelling at him. This caused my roommate to leave. After he left, it was just me and her, and I tried explaining everything to her again. Like I still don't know what fully happened to him, but it had to be something traumatic, and that he didn't mean anything malicious. I said I understood why she was upset, but asked her to try and see it from his perspective. She refused. She started accusing him of being a misogynist and said that he was using his trauma to justify hating all women. She also told me that by trying to defend him, I was being complicit. She didn't like that I was upset. She yelled and cursed at him because she felt that I was tolerating disrespect towards her. She was just completely upset with me. I reminded her that I had told her not to come over unless I was home, and this pissed her off more. She said she shouldn't need permission to come to my place.
Your girlfriend crossed a major boundary and then flipped out when there were consequences. This wasn't just about a visit. It was about disrespecting your roommate's trauma and your clear request. She made it about herself instead of even trying to understand why your roommate was uncomfortable. Honestly, if she can't respect your roommate's home, your words, or basic empathy, she's showing you exactly who she is. And it's not pretty. Was the roommate wrong for not letting her in? Or was the girlfriend out of line for showing up uninvited? Tell us, who really disrespected who here? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you think communication should never come second to drama. See you in the next video.